Welcome to Be the Solution podcast, first edition 2022. Welcome, Tracy, Tom, and John. I'm glad to have you here this morning.
Thanks, Maria.
Glad to be here.
I wanted to be in a business that I did not have a ceiling. Take a pen and a piece of paper, draw a line, draw another line next to it. At 365 days, if you drew 365 lines, you started here with one line, but look how far you've come.
Happy 2022, everybody.
Thank you. Same to you.
Great to see you all. I'm so excited to talk with you, Tracy, Tom, and John, all from the How Group at Compass Real Estate. How we doing? How we starting the year out?
Positive with a bang.
You have a word this year?
Yeah, the word is true.
True?
True.
What does that mean?
True.
No,
It's my personal word.
Yes.
True is following my path and not somebody else's, right? Being authentic, working hard, and not, measuring myself to somebody else's yardstick. So I'm going to stay true to me and keep it in the right direction.
I like that, Tom. Tracy, John or Tracy, do you have your word?
I got two: focus and attention. They kind of go together. I'm trying to train myself to bring my attention to what I really want to focus on: business, family, lifestyle. And just bring that attention so I can fulfill it to the most.
That's great.
Nice.
What's your number one focus?
Right now, business still. So busy with my clients, taking care of them. It's a carryover from last year, the busy market, and it hasn't slowed down at all for me. So the focus is on first thing in the morning, taking care of the clients, and then maybe a little exercise after that, a little biking.
Biking, I hope it's indoors. You got a Peloton?
I have a smart trainer.
Oh, good. Good for you. What about you, Tracy? Do you have a word?
I would say my word is growth. I am really concentrating on personal growth and business growth this year, along with the growth of our team. So just really spending time thinking about how to set that growth up for success.
Awesome. So what does the team look like today, and where do you hope to go through this year?
So today the team looks like about 350 plus transactions, and I'd like to grow that to 450 by the end of next year.
That's a great goal. And what about through people? More people, or?
No, I'd actually like to grow the people that are there, strengthen their business, strengthen their bottom line, and, do all that with a really great positive client experience. That's really my goal.
That's awesome. So my word is limitless. I think I thought a lot about that. I wasn't going to do a word this year because I don't know. I wasn't going to. And then I've been reading the book. Actually, I have it right here, Limitless. And I looked at it and I'm like, it's going to be my word.
Nice.
Why put any limits on ourselves? We often tend to overestimate what we could do in 1 year and underestimate what we can do in 5 or 10. And then writing all these different things down, that some of them not even real estate related, but business. And I start doing that and I'm like, yeah, I could do all these. Just because it took this long, 8 years to get to this spot where I am, doesn't mean that it's going to take 8 more years to finish all those things. So it's like, you get that, sometimes you eventually get that hockey stick growth. So that's how I came up
awesome
with
Awesome one. I love it.
Yeah.
Be thinking about you. Limitless.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk with you today. What is your take right now on 2022? Are you feeling super strong about the marketplace? You think we're going to continue? I mean, last year we had about depending on what area, you were anywhere between 12% and 15% growth in overall pricing of real estate values. What are your thoughts about that?
So I guess I'll go. I think that we're going to continue with a tight market, meaning low inventory and more buyers than there are properties to buy. So you would think that that's going to continue to push prices up, and it will. I don't think we're going to see the same sharp degree of increase. I think that if last year was 12 to 15, you said, I'd say this year, we're going to be 8 to 10, only because there's going to be some downward pressure on the market. Interest rates are going to creep up. And I think that prices have risen so fast, you get to a point, a buyer cries uncle. They go, I just can't, I want to buy the house. I just can't afford this. So there are going to be people that are going to be pulling themselves out of the market, or at least out of a specific price range, because they just can't do it. They can't make that number work. And because of that, you're going to have less buyers that are going after a specific house, less upward pressure on the market. And while it'll still increase, it's going to tamp down how much the growth can be. So yeah, I think it's still going to remain tight so long as interest rates don't go through the roof and we don't get a flood of new houses on the market.
Yeah, I think that, my own numbers I was looking, I was about 10%. So I agree with that. Something really interesting yesterday, a reporter from some digital thing, something reached out to me, and they were asking about the market right now. And I looking from this January to last January. So I pull up the index and I look at this all the time, through the Bright MLS. And last week it was 93, which is a steady market. This is for Philadelphia Metro. And yesterday it was 69. Now I'm thinking, oh my God, it's not the market. It's that almost every person is COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have COVID, you're not going to be able to show a house or go see a house, because that index is based on the activity in the MLS, the appointments being booked and new listings coming to market. So if you're a buyer right now, it's a great time to buy because everyone's homesick. How about that?
How many showings have been canceled because the seller has COVID?
Yes. So that's
the other side of it.
That's the other side of it. So if you can get into a house where nobody has COVID and you don't have COVID, right now is like a really, really great time to buy, because it's the least amount of buyers in the marketplace.
That's like, I agree with you in Philly, but in the suburbs, I'm seeing bidding wars as bad as they were a year ago. I don't know if John, Tracy, you guys are seeing the same thing.
Even last night.
No, I agree. I put 6 offers in over the weekend, and every single house had multiple offers.
Where were they?
So one was in Valley Forge, one was in North Wales, so in suburbia. And there was, in suburbia. I'm trying to think if there was one in Philly, because I do Philly. It just seemed this weekend I was out of the city and in the suburbs, but multiple offers on every single one. Actually, I'm lying to you. I did have one in Strawberry Mansion, and that had multiple offers as well.
Was that an investment property?
That was an investment property. We had to use an escalation clause on an investment property.
Right. So we get the investment properties. We're always going to have multiple offers. I think that, one thing about that market, the Philadelphia metro market, it includes all the other areas too, right? Like it includes Camden County, Burlington County, includes those areas like out in like Cumberland, where it's always a number like 69. It's always very limited in the sales. So there are still pockets that just still are going to go crazy. I think it's probably less crazy though than it would be if it was non-sick people.
Yeah, I agree. Exactly. I think I agree with you.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch though. And I think it's important because if you don't have the activity, say, on particular property, let's just say it's in Philadelphia because there's less demand generally in the city than there is in the burbs. Maybe not do a reduction just yet in January, maybe wait until this thing lifts a little bit because it may just be there just can't be enough activity because 35% of people are sick.
Right, right. It's funny. You said hold off on the reduction. I used to think I've been working in the city and the burbs equally for like the last 10 years. And I was started in the burbs and sort of migrated to the city for business. And when I started that, I noticed that city listings didn't reduce as much or as quickly as suburban listings. If you had a listing in the burbs and it wasn't moving in 20 days or 30 days, it started to drop. The city, nothing. Like I would see Mike McCann's listings and they would just like never drop. I mean, I'm calling him, but anybody. And I don't know if that's changed, and if now city listings, fall, sort of at the same rate as suburban listings, maybe even a little more, just because COVID's made the suburbs more hot.
Yeah, I mean, our rule is 21 days.
Right.
If there's not enough activity and there's no offers, and the activity isn't at a pace that could cause us to bring offers, you have to make the adjustment. Mm-hmm. But I think it's important right now looking at that and saying, okay, there are a lot of people sick, and maybe we just hold for a second to see, unless somebody really just needs to move that piece of property, then
I don't know. I think they're still out there, Maria. I think buyers are still out there, even sick. As soon as I was released from my quarantine, I was full force showing. Buyers are still out there. It's still difficult to schedule, especially when you have multiple homes to schedule, and the time blocking of, for COVID protection it makes it really difficult. And I find that almost everyone I'm fighting for just the spot to get in the door.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's when you do a lot more work in the suburbs. I know it's very, very hard. It's very hard to get in, and then everything's timed. And then if something's late, then
I was at the beach, showing houses at the beach on Sunday. Same thing.
Where at the beach?
I was in North Wildwood and Cape May this weekend.
Oh, you're a busy little bee, aren't you?
I try to be.
You're busy. You're everywhere. Jeez.
Right? Valley Forge down to Cape May.
God bless. That's a little too much. That's a lot of moving pieces. That's
why we have a team.
Yeah, I get
it. We can move and shake, and they can make us look good.
Yeah, exactly. So we think that we're going to have a strong 2022. We're all in agreement with that.
You bet.
What do we see the biggest challenges are for our industry? What do you think?
Rates creeping up a little bit could be a factor in maybe the third and fourth quarter. Inventory is my biggest issue right now. I think we still have 5 or 10 buyers for every house that's priced correctly and looks, shows really well.
So inventory, there is inventory. We just have to knock on the door and see if they want to sell it.
Yeah, I love that. That's exactly right.
Right?
Right. I was watching this comedian the other day, though, Maria, and I found this very funny. He was doing a skit on what people used to do when someone rang the doorbell and what people do now. And they ring the doorbell, and before it was like everybody in the house would get excited, like, who's at the door? And now, they're like, when somebody rings the doorbell, everyone's kind of hiding and looking at the ring and seeing who's out there. It was funny. I don't find people as appreciative of someone knocking on their door these days.
No, maybe we have to send them a letter in the mail. We can try that.
Usually a politician.
Yeah. I'd say it's
call them on the phone, get a numbers through Cole Realty or something.
Yeah, I disconnected my doorbell.
right?
Oh, so it doesn't even work. That's great.
Yeah, because I had to bang on your door, and then I still had to call you on the phone
I gotta
and
take
say,
my
"Hey,
door
I'm
off.
outside."
I have to take my door off now.
He's right. He has no doorbell.
Oh my gosh. So you all have an interesting story how you got together.
We do. So it was 2014, and I was at Berkshire Hathaway, and Tracy kept giving me a call. Actually, her brother and Tracy kept calling me. Brother Gary Jonas is the heads everything in the Howe Group, and Tracy and Gary called and said, "Hey, we want to form a brokerage. The Howe Group is, we're a developer. We've got property management. We've got, new construction. One thing we don't have is a brokerage, and we want to start one." So Tracy said, "We want, you to come on, and we have a third partner, John Krause, who used to run a brokerage too, a Century 21 franchise, Manayunk, and we want to start something." And I'm like, no way, forget about it. I'm happy on the main line. She kept calling, and finally, like after 4 or 5 months, I sat with her and her brother at the U.S. Hotel in Manayunk. And they're like, "We can do it." And Tracy pulled out the sheet. She's like, "Look what you can make if you go with us, as opposed to staying where you are." And I kind of went, she's got a point. So, we threw our hat in the ring together, and the three of us started it in 2015 in like a little office, and we grew it. And next thing you know, we had like 20 agents and staff and operations team, and we're a great little engine. So, I mean, that's going pretty quick, like quick.
It was all perfect. Everything you just waved a magic wand and poof, here you are.
That's it. All right, John, Tracy.
That's how it needs to look, right? Seamless.
Wow.
That's right.
Through that though, there had to be some trials and tribulations that you came up with to get where you are, unless you were just also amazingly great. And because we know that to get to success, we have to fail. What were some of the things that you had to work through as a group to move forward?
I think really one of the big things was deciding to leave our comfort zones of where we were, and take that first step in saying, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to leave where I'm comfortable. And I think most of us were happy where we were. And so understanding that taking a leap of faith and growing together could be a positive thing, was really the biggest hurdle that for me, that making that decision to start our own brokerage. And then just getting the guys to agree to come along for the ride but I feel like when we started, we kind of said, hey, what is our goal here? Other than just growth. And our goal was to create an environment where all of the things that you hate about your job were kind of solved. So we took all the problems and put a system together to solve those problems for people, to let them focus on, their client interaction instead of their paperwork and all of those kind of things. Although we do oversee our paperwork, we, just building a team that supports each other and supports, being able to take a vacation without being on your phone the whole time. All of those kind of things were important to us. And so, it wasn't a seamless, hey, this is how this is going to go. Even for John and Tom, who've never had an assistant before, what a struggle to get them to wrap their mind around letting someone else do something for you, because you're so used to doing everything for yourself.
But you know what? You can generate a lot more business when you're focusing on the high dollar return tasks, like connecting with clients and outreach, instead of coordinating a sign installation or writing, listing copy or taking measurements for room dimensions and all those other rote tasks that, we were able to have our ops team do, so we could focus on the bigger things, that is generating business.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you all more on that. I entered the industry 18 years ago, and I said to myself, this is the stupidest business I've ever seen in my life. How can one person actually do all these things well? And that was a hard, I think back, if you think back like a while ago, people did everything themselves, like you said, Tracy, and it was getting people to recognize that their strengths are, you guys especially, is in working with the client, right? Is in growing the business. It's not writing up the offer or putting a sign, up or coordinating that or taking pictures or, worrying about getting a mortgage commitment. I mean, those things are all, that's why it's the beauty of the team is in having people do what they do best and really focusing on your strengths versus trying to figure out your weaknesses.
That's
I
so,
agree.
yeah.
Our operations team has made the biggest difference here over the last 3-4 years since we've been here. Definitely.
Yeah.
I was always a micromanager, and
No.
Right.
Now John gets, I mean, it is beautiful that he can ride his bike and the wheels of his business are still turning, right? He can go out there, and John did an amazing thing this year. He
Last year.
rode, was it last year? Well, 2021, right?
Yeah,
He
last summer,
rode his bike from San Francisco to New Jersey.
yeah.
And did I say, is that the right place?
Yeah.
From California to New Jersey, and still had his business going. So
Every day you did
that's congratulations, John. That's amazing. How long was the ride?
It was a 45-day ride, 42 days of riding, 3 days off, 90 to 100 miles a day, San Francisco, Atlantic City, 3,800 miles total. 3 of us did it, and we raised $250,000 for Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
Wow. God bless.
So
That's
a trip ride.
How many miles a day?
Inspirational.
Between 90 and 100. Some days 120, some days 80 through the Rockies. The mountain days we did a little less than 100.
I mean, if that isn't like, that's just mind blowing to me.
But the point is, I felt relaxed that the business was taken care of, and it didn't skip a beat with our operations team. It was just
amazing people behind the scenes, right?
Yeah,
allowed you to probably do something that meant the world to you.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was great.
Wow,
yeah,
that's fantastic, and a great organization.
Fabulous.
In fact, the head of Big Brothers Big Sisters was one of the 3 who did it. Marcus Allen. He
did.
Yeah, he rode.
Great guy.
John rode and Gary Jonas rode. And reading their comments like in real time at the end of each day and their Facebook posts was like, talk about inspiration. It was really amazing. Yeah.
It was a fun time for a good club.
So are you ready to do that again?
I am not.
But he did say, before you knew that he did that ride, he did say earlier in our call that he was, finding time in the afternoon to get on his bike. So he hasn't lost it that much.
Yeah.
Well, you want to keep fit and you want to keep strong. So
yeah,
that's what being part of a team is, like being able to enjoy your passion and being able to enjoy your family and have things still running smoothly the way that they should.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Everybody deserves that. That keeps your mind strong.
For sure.
I agree. I believed in the team concept since I entered the industry 18 years ago. So
it's funny because we do joke about some of the agents that are on our team that were never not on a team. And we're like, some of these guys have no idea what it's like to be, a one-man show.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, it's interesting because when we bring new people into our office, we especially like working with folks that have been in the industry for a year or 2 who were solo, because they see the value that the team environment brings with not just only, having clients to work with, which is great, right? When you bring a lot of opportunities, I hate to call people leads, opportunities through the door. And then all the support you get on the back end of it with the marketing and advertising and contract to close, and allows you to, either more time to do more work with more clients, or more time to spend with family, or going on a 45-day bike ride.
So Maria, which in your, excuse me, Trace, in your 18 years, you are involved in a great team, an amazing team that's grown, through a lot of transactions and a lot of real estate. Which is easier or more fulfilling for you, when you bring on somebody that's been in the business for a year or two, or somebody who's been in the business, 10 plus years? Like which is an easier, transition to your group?
I think generally it depends on the person and their mindset. It depends on where they are in their career. Where the first 10 years, like, well, I'm working in real estate, but maybe I'm working 20 hours a week, and I really want to now, my kids are grown, and I really want now to really focus on being a listing broker, and I want to double what I'm doing because now I have the time. Is one person. And then another person is, hey, I've never been in real estate. I was a nurse, and I don't want to be a nurse anymore, because we know why a lot of nurses don't want to be nurses anymore. Many years in the business, I think a lot of people, a lot of health practitioners have had a tough time over the last couple of years. So they'll come into the business brand new with a different approach, with a different look at it. They already have a heart of a servant. So they're also, it's inspiring to take somebody from another career who has been very successful in that business and walk alongside of them in the real estate journey.
Interesting.
Yeah, we love new people.
Yeah. You can train them, and teach the way that's worked right for you and your group.
Yeah. I've been really good at in bringing new people in and developing them, and now we've created some different things for agents as they grow in the business, different levels, so to speak, and a lot of cool, exciting stuff for this year. But it's fun, I've worked in the industry a long time, and sold a lot of real estate, and now focusing on helping a lot of people be able to sell a lot of real estate. So
I find that to be really fun. You've been there, you've done that, right? But when you can share with others, some things that have worked for you, and watch it catch, and watch them kind of like the light bulb goes off, and then you see the results happen, 6 months later, that's really fun. That's cool. And you go, wow. Yeah.
It's interesting because I watch from week to week. We just started doing one-on-one meetings where we were mainly just I do sales meeting every week. Every Tuesday we have a meeting. We were doing Tuesday and Thursdays. I kind of switched things up for this year. But one was a training day and sales meeting day. But doing the one-on-ones, watching people each week, just focusing on, here's what we're going to focus on from this week to this week. Let's see where we are. Let's see if we were able to move the needle. Because like I said in the introduction to the podcast, all we're trying to do every single day is draw a line and draw a line and draw a line. And that line represents getting that little tiny bit better over a day, over then take the lines and they add up a week, and then a month, and then a year. And you look back in a year and you say, my gosh, look how much I've grown. But it started with the daily activity and the daily action that needed to be taken and focused on. As you said, your words are being focused on what exactly that is, and how can we make our schedule. Like, one of the biggest things I see people is time managing, time blocking, time scheduling, being very diligent with the way they spend their time. And when you start to master that, you can see the changes starting to improve very quickly, quicker than people would think before they started to do it. So it's really fun to watch.
This effort, right, every day to get a little bit better. It's like you're like straight out of the Compound Effect, which is
Yes.
a little book by Darren Hardy.
Yes, exactly.
Right, every day you do a little bit, and before you know it, those little good things become habits, and you got your hockey stick, right?
It's
Yeah,
funny because time blocking is one of my strong beliefs. And, when I try and explain it to people, and it's funny to hear, well, my phone's going to ring, or someone's going to think I'm not around, or, and so it is a mindset that they have to build. And, this is a real industry where no one's really looking over your shoulder and saying, what did you do at 9? What did you do at 10? Where is, your work at the end of the day? It's really, you're accountable to yourself. And so, that time blocking is a real challenge for people to mentally kind of, achieve.
Yeah, they first have to want to make the change, right? You have to want it. And then how does it get done? And then start doing the action, and then it becomes eventually a daily thing. So Tracy, how do you keep your schedule?
I time block my schedule. I use a Google Calendar. So if somebody wants to set an appointment with me, I tell them go to my calendar and pick a time that I'm free. Um, and if I'm in a meeting, I do have my phone on, and I will text you and say, hey, Maria, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you when I'm done. Or if I'm time blocking, whatever it is, hey, I'll get back to you when I'm done. So I keep my schedule through that Google Calendar, and I live by it. So
How
my
and
CRM
it's
time is on the calendar.
yeah, so I schedule from the moment the eyes awake till the bedtime.
You just got
Everything's in there. Dinner scheduled in there. Music, Pretty Woman musical tonight scheduled in there.
nice. Look at you.
Everything is scheduled in there except for the bathroom. That's not scheduled because I don't know when that's going to have to happen. So, but if I'm fanatical about the schedule.
I'm pretty good with my schedule now. It took me years to get there. But I'm very good with it. And there's a couple meetings a week that we have as part of our team that it's mandatory to be part of. And just seeing the growth of people accepting that time frame and being true to it is, I think, one of the biggest hurdles, because they see then if they can be true to that meeting, they can be true to the other commitments that they make.
That's right. And there's no I in team. So no showing a house is more important than being at the team meeting.
Exactly.
Yep. We have a ton of we put a ton of stock into accountability and culture. And it is, it's not like hammered over the head, but it's, hey, this is the expectation. You chose to be in this business, in this industry. We sort of we have a system where everybody kind of selects the goal that they want, right? Their own goal.
Their own goal.
This is your goal, right?
That's
what do you
right.
want to do this year? How many do you want to sell? X number of houses? Do you want to earn X amount of income? Do you want to do X amount of hours of community service? Whatever it is, what's your goal? And then we, through working together, ensure that we are all true to our own goal. And if the goal isn't met, you go, hey, what happened? Did you not want it enough? Did you not have the ability to get it done? Or was there some other reason why it didn't get done? And then we talk about it. Okay, how can we get you to, how can you do better so that it works? It's done in a way that's, I think, with empathy and with care. So it's always with a positive, but that's super important. A self-accountability and a culture that promotes the positive and promotes like being true to yourself and going out there and getting it.
Yeah, I agree. So the self-realization. So it's like what got in the way. Most of the time it's something personal.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, we have these weekly meetings where, they're formatted so that the first 5 minutes, it's, hey, share your good news, personally, professionally. And the next 5 minutes is, okay, here's where you are with the tasks that you said you were going to do last week. And the third part's a couple minutes of, hey, who has really excelled in the team that you noticed in the last week? And then the majority of the meeting, like 45 minutes, is spent on digging in on why something didn't happen or why something did happen, how it could be better. So like when people hit a block or stumble, you really dig in and figure out why. And sometimes those meetings can get, heated because you really get into the issues, you know what I mean? And it's, at the end of the meeting, it's like, wow, we really covered some ground. It was like, it wasn't just kind of lip service and, going through the motions and check. It was really like digging in and, hey, why didn't this work out the way you wanted it to? That's probably one of the things that I'm most proud of being part of this group, is having that type of honesty and directness with your peers. Because at the end of the day, we're here to support each other. I didn't pick your goal for you, you did, and you hit it, awesome. You didn't, how can we do better? So,
Vulnerability and transparency and humility.
yes.
Underrated things, but extremely important.
I was just thinking while Tom was talking that every other agency I've been with prior to the Howe Group, we were always hammering company goals at every meeting. This is the first agency I've been with where we're hammering personal agent goals. Mm-hmm. So it's a big transition, but it all comes out to the end. If we can fulfill the agent's goals, we can fulfill the company's goals.
Exactly.
And I think,
yeah, go ahead, Trace.
Sorry. I think one of the things is every company that I've ever been at has sat down with you at the beginning of the year or in November, December, and said, hey, let's put your goal sheet together. And then after that, it was just, a manager walking by and saying, hey, how's it going? And keeping on their way. And for us, just like having that structure of, meeting and talking and consistently discussing our goals keeps people's eye on that and keeps their heart in it, and making it fun for them to do some of the things that they don't like to do or to really look at themselves is one of the things that I'm most proud of is that I feel like we have an incredible system and we have a fun, good time with each other. We love each other. We enjoy each other. And we know each other.
Yeah, it's true.
So are you hiring for the Howe Group right now, or?
Oh, Trace, I think you're
losing Tracy.
Yeah, we're missing Trace. Your connections maybe. I think your connections may be a little slow. Yeah, we're definitely. I mean, we're not actively recruiting, but we're always, happy to speak with somebody who wants to, be on that journey. And I won't say that everybody's the right fit for us. It's like culture first, and that's no joke.
So we are.
Yeah.
Always looking. Oh no.
I think we lost you, Tracy.
Let me see. Oh gosh.
Is that better? No.
Oh, no.
Well, we're definitely, we're hiring, but yeah, it's got to be a good fit. And I think that, culture is really hard to teach. Either you sort of have that mentality or you don't. The other things, the skills in terms of getting better, that's all teachable, right? But you can't teach the mindset of doing the right thing. or doing whatever it takes. You know, like those sorts of core values, you just got to have, right? Like we like to say, like, you know, are they a how person or not? And if they're a how person, I know that, you know, they're going to.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah. Trace, I don't know if you heard anything what I was saying.
Sorry.
Yeah.
COVID times get bad internet.
We can hear you now.
I know. Sorry.
Go ahead. You're saying?
Oops.
Yeah, she's definitely on a delay.
Yeah.
So I do think culture is important. We talk about it all the time.
Go ahead. Go on with that.
Okay.
People will say, you know, oh, well, my culture is not right, or this or that, or I have to get this thing right. It's like, you're never going to have everything right, right? So your cultures should always be improving. And it's like, okay, well, so let's recruit to our subculture, like the culture within the culture, because it's never going to be 100% exactly the way we always want it, because as you're growing and the medium changes, new people come in, you know, and focusing on what that subculture is within the culture, to be able to grow that. And I mean, accountability is a huge part of it.
And you're right. It's never static. It's always evolving and changing, and you got to pay attention. You know, if you take your eye off the ball, it can, like, next thing you know, you have no idea like what's really driving the group. You know,
I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this statement?
Oh, you can?
You
guys may have to go on and just let me listen, because I don't want to keep messing up your podcast here.
No worries. Maria, you were saying a statement.
Yes. What do you think about the statement that teams are the wave of the future in real estate versus brokerages?
Ooh. I never thought about that.
I think that that maybe teams are the new brokerage.
Yes.
Still got to have a brokerage. You know, it used to be.
No, that's the statement. Like,
Yeah.
teams being the new brokerage over independent solo agent.
I would say that's correct. I would say that's an accurate statement, because it used to be, and the real estate commission is still set up like this. You have a broker, right? The broker of record, and then you have all the agents under the broker. And the broker is supposed to, you know, take care of what the agents are doing, so that if an agent screws up, it's only partly the agent's fault. It comes back to the broker. But in this case, you're right. The teams are sort of usurping that model. So instead of one broker and, you know, 50 individual people sort of being corralled by the broker, you've got, you know, 5 teams of 10 people each. So maybe
I don't think I'm good. I'm gonna try and get in off my phone.
Okay. We're here when you're ready. But anyways, I think that I think you're right. The teams have become the new broker, right? The new brokerage. But I guess let me ask you a question. Tracy?
Is that better?
Yeah, much better. So do you think that the real estate commission will ever change their structure of having one broker of record for a brokerage, and maybe have, you know, brokers of record for each team?
I think there's so much bureaucracy in that environment, and it's so slow moving that it would take a bit much for that to happen.
Maybe you're right, but you see what I'm saying? Like, the original idea behind that was like the broker is supposed to, you know, teach and make sure the agents are doing the right thing, right? But that became so decentralized, and now you have, you know, teams for the most part that are smaller than the original brokerages are, but each team leader now has that sort of same responsibility that the broker used to have. Those team leaders are like making sure that the people under them are doing the right thing and are following the rules. And, you know, if they aren't following the rules, it comes back to the team lead who didn't set them up properly.
And that's why I think that the teams work so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I look at it a little differently, Tom. I look at it like, hey, brokerages have grown. When we first started and I went to work for my first time with John Krause, there was 10 of us in the office, and he was able to give us hands-on training and, you know, time. Brokerages have grown in size so greatly that there's almost a need inside for more people to stand up and say, hey, I'm going to help this group of people. I'm going to work together. But for me, having a team and also having the strength of the brokerage behind us is, I think, you know, an amazing asset. So I don't know if I'd want to whittle it down any.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Function more efficiently than a separate agent does. You can do more for your clients. You can be there for them more.
Mm-hmm.
The paperwork is handled more efficiently. Just everything's handled more efficiently with the team concept. That's why it's more.
Yes, and you look at the last year and a half, you see a lot of teams with massive growth, massive. And a lot of these people across the country are my friends. And I'm talking massive, like teams doing $1 billion a year in sales.
Woo.
Like very serious business. And and partially it's because you have somebody or something on that team that is the personality, right? That is whether it's a group name, like the Hal Group or Maria Quattrone or whoever, there is that
face of the group.
And that face of the group, that group does massive marketing. And there is a voice, right? It's like this podcast. There's a voice. But think about all the other, just think even locally. How many people are doing that? You have, I don't want to name names of companies, but certain companies where there's just 400 agents in that company and there's no real voices. There's a lot of little voices, but it doesn't, the strength is in the amount of resources that can be brought when you are in a team environment, because then there are marketing initiatives that can happen that can't happen on a brokerage level because there's no money. The money's not there for it. And there's not a centralized voice either to be that person.
So the model is changing.
Yes.
The model is changing.
Very much so.
Why do you think that is? Is it technology? Is it the type of buyer or seller has changed? Why do you think that we've now become a team-centric industry?
I think it's because a team model is profitable when run properly. I mean, my office, even though I own the Remax, we're a team office.
Right.
That's it. We run as a team.
Right.
That means that I don't, I never understood it. 18 years, walked in the door. Why is it that I'm an agent and you're an agent over here, 5 feet from me, and you're another agent over here, and we're all competing to call the expired listing? And we all have to make up our own listing presentation. And we all have to have our own contract to close person.
Right?
Right?
Right.
That's why I started the team model in 2005, whatever year it was. And people thought I was nuts and it was unacceptable. I mean, I got a lot of slack for it. People just didn't like me. They were like, who does she think she is? I think I'm the person that can sell and market, and I can't do contracts to save my life. I am a horrible administrator, right? I mean, bad. Can't do paperwork. Things are like all over. I literally had to hire an assistant within 2 months because I physically my head was going to explode off my body. That's the truth. I was in advertising sales for 11 years before this, and I had an admin who did all the proposals. I just went out and like made it all happen, with
Right.
excitement and enthusiasm.
You were making the rain.
Yeah.
And
That's
somebody
it.
else. Yeah. Yes. Well, I think you said some really important things, because a team allows you to excel at what you do best and have somebody else do something that maybe you're not as strong at.
It comes down to efficiency.
Yeah. And it's more profitable.
It's a more profitable business. And there's a lot of people. And the more that the team does, the more resources it has. And the more resources it has, the more it can have, additional things to support the agents in the group. Right. So I think there's a lot to be said about them, and watching closely over the last year and a half. It's it's super amazing to see the growth of all these people, and I'm really excited about it, and it's fun. It's good stuff. There's so many things that we can do in our industry. I started this podcast in April 1st, 2020 because of the pandemic, and having folks like you on and just sharing with each other, because this is like, hey, we're having a cup of coffee. Yes. You're at the office. I don't know where Tracy is. Is she home?
I'm at home.
Yeah, I'm at home right now because the IT people are fixing stuff. But yeah, we could do this, right? And we weren't able to do this. I mean, we just have to go out before, go to this event, go to that event, which, by the way, I love to do. But when we were all sitting in the house, I mean, at least I was sitting in the house for 10 weeks that we were closed. I had to come up with something. We came up with this idea and to share, and then, this people can watch it and hopefully learn from it. I mean, there's been like a lot of really great learning experiences on the podcast. And
I love that you do this podcast. I really do. When I bumped into you last month, I was so like, I had to come over and say hello and give you props for this, because, what you do says, hey, we're all in this together. The pie's big enough for all of us. Yeah, we're all in the same business. We're all working hard to advance whatever our goal is, but the pie is big enough that we can all share it and enjoy it and swap stories and, get better with each other, get better from each other. I mean, and the sheer number of people and organizations that you've been able to interact with and share with and learn from, that's that's awesome. And we all benefit from it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I am happy we banged into each other. It was a good conversation.
Yeah, it was.
It was. So do you know, somebody called me, very successful team leader locally, and they asked me about like the different advertising I do and this and that. And I said, well, I'm happy to share. And I give him all the information. And he's like, why would you do that? I said, because we're all the same, and the pie is big enough for the right people in the business. And do you know, last year, through, I think it was October, I calculated there were $3 billion in fee that we were able to get a piece of the pie in the Philadelphia metro market. $3 billion.
Wow. With a B.
With a B. Like some ridiculous amount of money. And I shared it with the agents in my company. I said, now, what are we going to do?
Right.
I mean, the business is everywhere. It's everywhere. And thinking of real estate as a vehicle to your goals. And it allows you to be whatever it is that you want. And it could be commercial, residential, leasing, selling condos, selling new construction, which you guys do a heck of a great job at doing. It could be anything. It could be anywhere. It can be, businesses opened because of your real estate. We just opened a mortgage. I bought a Motto mortgage franchise. We opened last week.
Congrats.
Pre-approvals this week. It's like, so Right? I said to the agents yesterday, I said, I'm in the same boat as you. And they look at me. I said, I'm starting at zero. There was a day when all of us started at zero. We all did. We all had no houses ever sold. No other, like for us, so no mortgages yet sold. We're working on.
Maria, question for you. What was your first house? What was the first house you listed or you sold?
I sold the house on 6th Street. It was on the 6th and Bainbridge, the second house in. My friend bought it. It was $399.
Right?
I closed March 31st. I think I had the license like March something.
You knew the house, the date, and the price.
All right. So second house.
Right.
523 Pine.
We're gonna go through 1,000 here.
I sold a quadplex. No idea what multifamily meant. $1,025,000. The people called on the phone. They said, "Oh, I'm looking at this house. I saw the sign at 10th and Pine, 10th and Spruce." I said, that one sold, but I have another one. And they're like, "Oh," I said, "I can show it to you." So I met them, 2 doctors, doctor and doctor, older folks who had money sitting around. And we showed it, and it was a great, beautiful building, 4 units, $1,025,000.
That was that.
Second. Yeah, and I was still working in advertising. I was still working at the radio station for the first year because, I was making a pretty decent salary, and I lived by myself, and I had to support myself. So I said, all right, let's get this going. And I just worked and worked and worked and worked. And then February 5th, 2005, I left that, and that's that.
I love it.
What's your first house?
5700 North Woodstock on LaSalle's campus.
Oh.
And it was, it was an older woman whose daughter was very suspicious of me. And I had to sit there by the kitchen table and tell them I was going to take good care. And I was going to, treat them right and make sure that they got a good deal. And I was honest for them. And they believed me. And we got that sold for $88,000. It was $88,000.
What year?
2008. And I think it was Tracy's brother, who was Gary Jonas, who was the buyer.
Oh, really?
Gary came to me. He said, "Tommy, I went to LaSalle and they got a problem because there's no student housing."
That's right.
Nearby. I commuted from Roxborough every day. And if I had lived on campus, it would have been a lot easier. So let's draw a map right with like 6 blocks right around LaSalle. And I want to see who we can sell, who we can buy that lives in there. And this woman answered my postcard. And that was the first deal.
I love it.
That was the first deal.
I love it. Wow. Look, you were all intertwined before you even knew it.
Yeah.
There is no coincidence, folks.
No.
How about you, John?
4774 Silverwood Street in Roxborough. I had to show 5 houses that day to my first buyer. And I remember sitting in the office with a big map road atlas on the spread out over the table.
Right.
Because I didn't know Roxborough at all. I didn't know one street in Roxborough. And
that's hard to believe.
Yeah, I didn't. And so one of the 5 that I showed him sold. I've sold it 3 times since. I've sold him 3 houses since, not the same house.
How about it? That's how it works, right? When you do good business and you keep at it and you keep in touch.
Trace,
what year was it?
We got to go around the horn, Trace. How about you?
So the first house that I sold was on Umbria Street in Manayunk, and was working for John at the time, and got both sides of it. So that really my passion for
what
listing.
year?
That was in 2002.
In 2002.
Wow.
So you were that was a crazy market in 2002.
Sure was.
So we didn't have to leave Manayunk, and all you had to do was go into the office. People still walked in, said they were looking for a house, and yeah, it was a great time to get started.
It was.
And I had teacher and John.
That's awesome. And you're all working together. And the reason why, what?
House. John sold me my first house.
Is that how you met?
Sorry about that, Trace.
My friend, we lived in a duplex, and my friend upstairs,
Oops.
Yeah, Trace.
All right, she just shut us.
up your podcast. I'm so sorry. That was my phone rang. Then my friend upstairs bought a house, and he was like, told me he used this great guy, John Krause. And so I called him, and that's how I met John.
Wow.
And that's how did you decide to get into real estate?
I had too many kids, and I thought it would be flexible. I thought, oh, I'm not going to pay for daycare. I'm going to,
I can get out of
Get out of the house.
yeah.
Get out, get some free time. This is
Yeah.
fun. I got to work. This is good stuff. Bye.
Yeah, I thought, oh, I can do this and, still stay home with the kids. And yeah.
I love it. I love the hustle. Yeah, 2002, I sold a property I bought in 2003, I think I sold it. I only had it for a couple of years, but I was a FISBO. I wasn't in the industry. Buying a FISBO, and I don't know how it closed. And it was a 10th and Spruce, a condo, and I bought it for 108. And in 2 years later, I sold it for 220 something. And I remember seeing like the market. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. It keeps going up. And this is the back, like this was with this like city paper and like Philly Weekly. You have to like look in there.
Mm-hmm. No internet.
No internet.
I totally remember City Paper. Oh
Do you remember like search? I used to search in there.
I remember when I was looking for a house, John Krause would come by and put listings he printed from the MLS in my mailbox every day. And that's how I saw what was out there.
Yeah, that was definitely harder then to work than today.
Yeah, you get like the book.
Yeah.
The new listings book.
Yeah. And then print out 20 listings on a printer, put them in a large envelope, put an 83-cent stamp on it, and send it to my buyers. Did that all day long.
Oh my God.
So crazy. And you survived it. Look at you now.
Not too long ago. That was just 2001.
Yeah.
20 years. Look how much has changed. But look how much has stayed the same.
Right.
Because it's all about people and relationships, right?
Isn't that the truth? It's really the truth.
Technology is not going to replace the human interaction. At least, hopefully not in our lifetime.
No, and technology is crazy right now. Like sometimes we think we can depend on it, and today, like the people next door are building a new house, so they just knocked out our internet, and that's I think what happens when I was. So like you still need that personal, be able to be in front of people, and not always depend on technology.
Not always depend on it, exactly. So what is some good advice that you would like to leave our guests with?
I would say for me, it's find a place where you feel like you belong and that you're part of, and you respect the people that you work with and look up to them, and they respect you back. And then you'll find the right place to grow. It's just like all the right nutrients are around you and you can grow there.
Wow. Great. Mic drop. I'm copying that. Man, I love that, Tracy. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
It was good.
Prepared there.
I didn't.
Go ahead. Yeah, that was great. I second it straight up. Don't change a thing.
You got a good 30-second elevator pitch.
Yeah.
So to speak. Very concise.
Yep.
Tom, John.
My motto has always been to listen to my clients. Go into a house for a listing and do more listening than talking first. seeing what their needs are, and same with the buyer. Listen to them. They send you an email, read it a couple times before you respond, and don't respond with a quick 1-2 sentence. Respond with some thought that, how would you like to be responded to? Cover all the bases, make them feel at ease, reduce the stress on both your buyers and sellers, and make it as smooth as you can for them, and it'll be that much smoother for you.
Leave the drama at home.
Right. Yeah.
Tom?
Do the right thing. Do whatever it takes. Be decisive. Give back to the community. Now, I'm stealing those. Those are the 4 core values of the How Group, but I think about them every day. I really do. And if you do those things, you're going to be all right. So that's my takeaway.
Agreed. It's been awesome to talk with you all today. I'm really happy that we got to do this, and I wish you all the best in 2022, and I hope that you make your number. You said you want to do 450 sides?
Yes, that's what I'd like to do.
Awesome.
Thank you so
That's
much.
great. That's great. It's been awesome, and please keep in touch, and hopefully we'll see each other all in person soon.
You got
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Happy to have you. Blessed and grateful. Have a
Happy
great
New
one.
Year.
Bye-bye.
Good luck. Bye-bye.